okay.
So we just gone live, and where people are shuffling in. Wow, we're already at 30. That was quick. Okay. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. That was really quick. We have a lot
Yeah,
of
well,
people, joining us today. I think this is going to be a really popular one. It's exciting today. I get to have on the very first person I subscribed to on Substack, which is cartoonist and author, illustrator, reportage artist, director, producer, Liza Donnelly. Liza, welcome. How are you?
thank you, Jason. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Of
Love
course, yeah.
Substack. Mm-hmm.
I think I was watching. I think you were the first person I subscribed to. You're also the first person I saw do live video on Substack. You were
Uh-huh.
live drawing all the time.
Yeah. Well, I was doing live before Substack, as you know, and
Right.
I was experimenting. There was something called Haps, which is a short-lived app that was all for live reporting. This is maybe 5 years ago, and I was also doing live Instagram during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I live drew every single day at 5 o'clock. I would just take like 15 minutes on Instagram Live and talk about what was going on in the world and draw
Mhm.
stuff. Not not a cartoon per se, but what was
Mm.
going on, and people saw it as a community. They really enjoyed because everybody wanted to be connected. We were
Yep.
so in our own spaces. So it was nice. That was great. And I ended that only because, the pandemic seemed to have an organizing principle for that activity. And then
Mm.
when the pandemic was gone, actually I did some political drawings too with George Floyd happened then and the election and that in that time period. But once those things are over, I stopped doing the Instagram live every day. But
Mm.
now we've moved on to other things like the live on Substack.
Yeah, you seem to do it every day. I mean, you post every day, I
Yes.
think.
Yeah, I do.
Um, and your live drawing. What I always liked about it was that you did them by hand. You did them with a dip pen and ink, and
Yeah.
you were using tools that I use that I'm not as good at. I mean, I used to work a lot digitally, doing my comic strip because it was production wise, it was just more efficient, but it wasn't as enjoyable. And
Mm.
it's nice. There's sort of a joy in the tactile, analog,
Oh, it's great.
process.
Yeah, I like them both, and I live draw out in the world too. I'm sure you've
Yeah.
seen I have a feature on my Substack called I saw this person today, and I would use my iPad. I'd be on the subway or the train or walking around, and I draw just a random person, and
And
also
was that,
do a video grab of it too, which I think people enjoy. People love watching other people draw, and they also
well,
like seeing it evolve too out of a video, out of a digital
yeah.
tool.
I was talking to some other cartoonists at the Reuben Awards. It was a podcast called Comic Lab with Brad Geiger and Dave Kellett, and they were talking about the fact that we often forget that other people can't draw. Like
Yeah.
I guess they're not as practiced. I guess so. To
Mhm.
them, us drawing looks like a magic trick, and
Mm.
I always took it for granted, that we can draw.
Yeah.
I guess I just forgot the novelty. Well, I say novelty of it, but the how entertaining it can be for someone to watch something just appear out of nothing,
Yeah.
and so that's why, I mean, I started doing these as instead of an ask me anything, draw me anything. It's purely just to kind of see. It was Substack that suggested it. They were like, you should try some live video and see, what you do that other people can't do. And people were suggesting in the chat, like making requests. And about halfway through each one of these, I sort of flip the camera and start drawing while we're talking. You're welcome to do that. Welcome to join. You're more than well versed at that. But yeah, there is something about the the spontaneity of it, or the just creating something out of nothing. Was it Paper 53? Is that what you were using on your iPad?
It is, yeah. Yep.
I think again, you were one of the first people doing. I remember you were early on using that. It was like that chunky pen, that stylus.
Yeah, they don't make that stylus anymore. So
Oh,
I
really?
use an Apple Pencil. They don't yeah, I had to buy I wanted them back.
Yeah,
Those thick, they look like, architect's pencils.
right.
Those are great. And I started doing that, back probably 2015. Somebody gave me an iPad, and actually the TED people gave me an iPad because I did a
Mm,
TED Talk, and then we did an animation video, uh we did an animation, maybe you can put a link in your, piece, and I did
I
an
will.
animation with Ted. I didn't do the animation, but I wrote the script, and an animator worked with me. We did a whole little short, film about what I forget what it's called.
Is it the
Uh,
cartoonist's brain or something? Or
yeah,
inside
something
the
like
mind
that.
of a
Yeah,
I think I saw that,
and
yeah.
it's about how we do what we do. And,
Yeah.
anyway, they as a thank you they didn't pay me, of course, TED doesn't pay anybody, but they gave me an iPad. So, very gratefully, I started drawing, the State of the Union address that year,
Ah,
which I
cool.
always like, but it can be very boring. So and this was the
Yeah.
early days of Twitter, not the real early days, but Twitter was still a great place, and I drew these quick drawings of what I was watching, and, put it on Twitter immediately 'cause the app connects to Twitter, um, and nothing was like that yet on that platform at all,
Mm.
really. There were images, but not anything like that, so it took off, and that's when my live drawing career sort of happened.
And now, I mean, I've seen you've drawn everything live from the red carpet at the Oscars
Yeah.
to the Trump uh, trials to the E. Jean Carroll Trump trial.
Yeah,
It's fun to follow along because there is something. I know you couldn't bring in technology or you couldn't bring in anything digital to the courtroom. So someone sort of
yeah,
tipped you off and said, "Bring paper and pen." Is that
yeah. Yeah, so the first trial, the E. Jean Carroll trial, rape trial, well, I forget what year that was, Jason, but
2 years ago?
yeah, I think so. That's right. Uh, I thought, "God, I'm gonna go down to the courthouse, see if I can get in." And I went down and somebody warned me, they said, "You better bring paper, they may not let you bring in your iPad."
Mm,
So I did, and, sure enough, you had to surrender your iPad and your phone, which was very bizarre for the whole day.
mm,
Um, and I drew on paper. I drew the E. Jean Carroll trial, not just Trump was not there for that one. Not just, the people on the stand or E. Jean, I drew her a lot, but the
mm,
judge. I drew the people, watching. I drew the journalists, I drew the jury,
mm,
I couldn't see them that well. Um, just to get a feeling of what it was like to be there,
mm,
and that's what people say they appreciate about what we do as live drawers, is
mm.
they feel like they're there with you. They're experiencing what you're experiencing. I get that from people on the red carpet. I was the first cartoonist to be credentialed for the red
Yeah, that's a
carpet,
pretty
and,
big deal.
yeah, and I did it for about 7, 8 years, and that was great. So it's a different way, and I know you and I talked about this, it's a different way of reporting,
Mm,
and, it's a quieter way of reporting, and, I found that it's been hard to get the mainstream media to understand what we do because all those people are word people. They
mhm.
may say, "Oh, that's really interesting," but then they don't make the connection.
Right. They're the first people to say a picture's worth 1,000 words, but then when it comes to getting them to pay for the reportage, they're like, "Wait, what? You want money?"
Alright, you want us to pay you for that? I don't think so.
Yeah. It looks like too much fun. The thing about reportage that I like, I really, try it's hard to do well, I think. It's really I mean, and anyone can sort of sit and draw anyone who can draw can kind of sit and draw something they're looking at, I guess, in the way that you sketch daily life. But when it comes to reportage, like you said, you're taking in everything. You're using a filter and you're doing it's what you leave out, really. It's you're
Right.
filtering in the experience, you're helping people feel like what it is in that moment. It's very spontaneous. And like you say, it's the other people in the room, the jurors, the journalists, the lawyers, the
Mhm.
it's the sense of that there's as if you're just looking around, and to me, I remember Mort Goberg's book, Mort Goberg on the Scene. He was doing like sports events and I think similar things. You did you live draw the DNC
Yes,
convention
that
at
was the
one point?
first
I
thing.
think.
That was the
Yeah.
first thing. So I've been drawing from my home, and then the election in 2016 was coming up,
Mm,
and I had met Norah O'Donnell's I had been on a panel with Norah O'Donnell, so I thought, "I'm gonna see if CBS would be interested," and sometimes it just takes, you know, going out of your comfort zone and asking, right? So I asked her assistant, and she said, "Let me see," and she talked to their social media, CBS This Morning's social media guy, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, this is great, let's do this." So they sent me to the DNC, and then I ended up
mm,
working for CBS The Morning Show for about 4 years, live drawing, in the studio, I would draw the guests and draw the hosts, and they would the point of it was, at the time, was to connect, uh because they put my stuff on social media. I was on
Mm,
camera sometimes, but they put my stuff on social media. So it was a way to connect their social media accounts with the actual broadcast, um, that was their
mm,
idea, and it was really fun. They sent me to the White House. I went. I don't know what else I did. The DNC. We did the debates. I didn't get to go to any debates, but I did it from the TV. So it was a great run.
yeah.
And
You,
then CBS imploded. Les Moonves and Charlie Rose and all that sort of
mm.
CBS imploded, and I was no longer. So
What was the morning program? I remember seeing you on a morning program one day. I was watching the TV and I was like, wait, there's Liza. What was that morning breakfast? It was like a breakfast TV thing?
yeah, it's still there. It's called CBS Mornings, and it was called CBS This Morning.
Mm.
Every weekday, Nora O'Donnell was the host, Charlie Rose was the host, and who was the third person? Oh, Gail King. She's
Yeah,
still there.
okay. Yeah.
And their green room was adjacent to the set, so I would be in the green room drawing the celebrities as they arrived, and the guests, not all celebrities, as they arrived, and then I would draw them on the set as well. I didn't go in every day. They would call me in when somebody big was coming, like Oprah.
Mm.
Um,
Wow.
uh, a lot of great actors that I got to meet, that I was excited about. So it was a fun time.
That's really cool.
Mhm.
I always wondered sort of, I mean, I know you've done a lot of TED Talks, you've done a lot of live presentations. I always had this idea in my head when I was sort of watching before I lived in New York, watching from afar and just seeing all these people on the ground in New York. They were soaking it up, and after the New Yorker meeting, going to Pergola Desert East and hanging out and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
talking shop. And it felt like such a nice idea to be around other artists, to be bumping up against each other and in New York. And I feel like there is still something to being in a place and sort of soaking up, like you've been in New York for a long time, and it feels like you're able to sort of soak up all the little bits and pieces of the neighborhoods and of the people and the tone and how much it's changed. You have
Yeah.
that context, and I think it's still, I don't think reportage and live sketching and all that, I don't think it's a dead art. I just think there's a lot of value to it. And I like the idea that maybe there'll be a resurgence of it since it's been out of the spotlight for so long. Linda
Yeah.
Healy said, it's subtle. I bet often people aren't experienced with this. It takes patience. It's true. It does take patience.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, there was one TRG said, I remember when there was a time when some presidents would invite political cartoonists to the White House after an election.
Hmm.
Is this something, did you ever do that? Did you ever do,
Oh, no. Uh,
because I know you do political cartoons.
I do.
Yeah.
Um, I grew up in Washington, DC during
Mm.
Watergate. So, I was already drawing as a kid, but I wanted to be a political cartoonist. I wanted to be Herb Block,
Yeah, me too.
who actually got to meet him. I'll tell you that story.
Really?
But, um,
Wow.
yeah, and so but at the time, this is in the 70s, early 70s, I looked at the political cartoonists that I admired, Gary Trudeau and
Mm,
and and Herb Block. Those are the 2 I remember most. And I didn't feel like I could fit in. I didn't think, that I had a strong enough opinion about things, which
mm,
was not true, but I didn't I couldn't find my opinions, I guess, or I was afraid to share them, let's put it that way. But then I looked at the New Yorker, and the New Yorker has always had political cartoons
yeah.
of their own type, and I looked more closely and I thought, "Oh, okay. Maybe," maybe, and I'd already was aware of the New Yorker, but it became clear that it was not the stodgy magazine that I thought it was. And when I was in high school, I thought, "Oh, this is a status quo kind of stodgy," but had a lot of subversive
Mm.
cartoons in there, subtle but subversive. And anyway, I set my sights on the New Yorker because I thought appealed to me more as a method of expression. Oh.
Well, you were one of the first women cartoonists at the New Yorker. I remember reading about you and Roz having to break into that sort of old boys club and
Mm,
and what it was like. Was it in the 70s you first got published?
yeah. Um, we were not the first, but we were.
Sorry, I shouldn't say
Yeah,
first. Yeah, but
yeah.
there was a sort
I
of a
don't want to. Yeah,
new. Yeah,
it's a common mistake. We
yeah,
we
yeah.
were the first to come back. So there were women
Right, right,
drawing in
right.
the 20s. I know you know that.
Yes.
There were women drawing in the 20s for the magazine, and I wasn't aware of that yet. Although I think I'd heard of Helen Hokinson.
Mm.
Um, I just wanted to be a cartoonist. I didn't I just that's what I wanted to do.
Mm,
And I know other people feel the same way. It's like blinders. I wanna do this. This is what I'm gonna do. Um,
mhm,
and we were in the late '70s, I just started submitting, trying to tell the story succinctly if I can. I mean, I had watched The New Yorker and looked at The New Yorker when I was in college, in the late '70s, and I saw one cartoonist that I thought I looked at her work, I didn't know she was a she, I thought, "If this can be in the magazine, maybe I can be in the magazine because her work was captionless, which I was doing a lot of captionless back then, and I loved captionless and very
mm.
simple lines. And her name was Nura Carlin,
Oh,
and
really?
she was a Israeli citizen who had moved to New York to study animation and found out about the New Yorker and started submitting. And she sold in 1974 to Lee Lorenz, who had just become cartoon editor.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I saw her work, and I thought I really it emboldened me. We became friends eventually. Um, and then but I between Nurit and me was Roz. Roz sold in
Mm,
'77, I sold in
yep.
'79, and there was another woman named Rozanengo who was in there briefly in the late '70s, and she disappeared. I don't know what happened to her. So there were 4 of us. But, Jason, before that, there were no women drawing cartoons in the magazine for a lot of different reasons. The New Yorker was not saying no women, they never said that.
Right.
It was a cultural thing that women
Yeah.
were not supposed to be funny, and, we came back. So there I think Mary Petty, worked until the '60s or late '50s. She's still doing covers, and, but basically there were no women drawing cartoons in the New Yorker in the
Mm,
middle of the century.
yeah.
So
And now there's the cover editor and the cartoon editor, both women.
that's
There's
right.
a lot of women contributing, which brings me to something I really wanted to talk to you about because I know you're working on a documentary.
Yeah.
It's called "Women Laughing." Is that the
Yes,
title?
yes. Yeah.
And it's about that sort of that arc of cartooning in the New Yorker, going from this very, I don't want to say homogenous, but very like, same kinds of similar perspectives, and then sort of the evolution as to what it is today. Can you
Yeah.
speak a little bit about it, and how much can you talk about the documentary?
A lot because it's
Okay,
finished.
good.
It's
Well,
finished.
it's done. You're in editing, right? Or
No, no, it's
oh,
finished.
it's cut. Okay, great.
We have a color correction and sound correction to go, but,
Right.
it's finished.
That's great.
I have so much time on my hands, I don't know what to do. Um, no, it's based on my book roughly based on my book, Very Funny Ladies, which,
Yeah.
the first edition I wrote in 2005 about the women cartoonists of the magazine from 1925 to, at the time, 2005. Uh, and, and then in 2017, uh Michael Maslin, my husband and Yorker cartoonist, for those of you who don't know, hi, Michael, I know he's here. He noticed, the historian that he noticed that there was an issue that in 2017 where there were more women cartoonists than men in that issue, and it was the first time that had ever happened. So, I said to myself, that we have to do something about this. We have to celebrate this. Um, and I also thought I should do a new edition of the book. So I wrote my editor, and he said, "Absolutely." So we did another edition, which came out in 2022, called Very Funny Ladies, and it has another chapter about the recent women that came in from 2005 to 2022. And then David Remnick and Emma Allen wrote the foreword, which was fantastic.
Nice. That's
So
great.
new material, new cartoons, and that's still available on Amazon. But so that book, I thought, okay, I'm done with that topic. I don't need to write about women cartoonists of the New Yorker anymore because we've broken that little mini glass ceiling. But I decided it had to be a documentary. I wanted more people to know about these women. So
Yeah.
I spent a lot of the pandemic taking classes online at Sundance about making documentaries. And I talked to anybody who would talk to me, any documentarian who would give me their time. And
Mm,
it turns out they're very generous people. I mean, the ones I've met, they I think they're my cartoonists are my people, but documentarians are my people too. It's like, no, because they're not in it for the money.
Right.
We're not in
Yeah,
it
you
for the
have to
money.
love it to do it.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
committed. So anyway, they want to be helpful. So that's how that happened. And it took since pre-pandemic to now to get it finished. And um, it does go into history, but it's also very much a celebration of some contemporary women. And
Mm,
what's fun about this, Jason, we're talking about live drawing, is that I
mm,
decided that I really wanted to not just sit across the table and interview somebody, although I do that in a way. I wanted to draw with these
yeah,
women. So we sat at a table in the Society of Illustrators. God bless them. They gave us space for free
that's
to
great.
do this, to film it, and we talked and drew at the same time because it's something that I've done with my children, and
Yep.
I know it's a way people are relaxed. At least cartoonists are relaxed when they're drawing, and
Yeah. That's
things
why I
come
do
out.
this.
Yeah. What?
That's why I do this show. I mean, it's
Yes.
cartoonists
No,
drawing and talking together. Yeah.
I know. So, it's a short, it's 35 minutes long. I decided to make it a short,
Wow. Yeah.
which I
Okay.
wish, in retrospect, I wish it is a long because it could have been more, but, there's not much money out there for documentaries, so it
Mm,
barely scraped by in getting the funds we needed. And then
right.
the other great news is, a couple pieces of information from your audience. Um, it's gonna premiere in New York, in fall, and the New Yorker is going to publish it on in the magazine, so
That's amazing.
they
That's
will
really
be going.
great.
And Katie Kirk is an executive producer.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, yeah.
My old pal Katie Cure.
Your old pal? What do you mean?
She commissioned me to draw Larry David for Sardi's restaurant a number of
Oh,
years ago. And she is a cartoon fan. I know you
she
probably
is.
already know this, but she's a big fan of political cartoons and New Yorker cartoons. And Larry David was doing a show at off Broadway called A Fish in the Dark. And she wanted to interview him at Sardi's. And you know how all the caricatures on the walls at Sardi's
Yeah.
don't really look much like the people? She wanted like a bad caricature of Larry to present to him. So we did like 3 different versions. And she picked the worst one and gave it to him. And he said, Katie, how much do I have to pay you not to put this up on the wall? Which is like being blessed by the Pope, being insulted by Larry
Yeah,
David.
that's a very Larry David thing to say.
Yeah, yeah. But Katie's great. She's a great champion. Her
Yeah.
and I Jake Tapper and
Mhm.
and other journalists and people like that who are big sort of staunch advocates for cartoonists. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's really cool. So she's did you just say she's an executive producer or a
Yeah,
director? Or?
yeah. Executive
That's
producer.
great.
I'm a director, and I'm working with another, filmmaker, Kathleen Hughes, who
Great.
is directing, with me. She's really experienced. She's worked with Bill Moyers for 30 years and,
Wow.
unfortunately just died, but,
Yeah.
so I knew I needed somebody who knew what they were doing.
Mm,
So we have a great team. Judith Mizraki is my producer, although I'm producing with her. She
right.
she did a film called The Martha Mitchell Effect, which is a great film about the Watergate era, and
Yeah.
the booksellers. So and a great we just have a great award-winning team. So I feel really lucky.
That's great. No,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. I'm excited to see it. So this fall it's coming out.
Yes, yes.
Wow. DMS on the chat said festivals are more likely to accept shorter works than longer ones because they're easier to fit into a schedule. So short can actually be really swell.
Well, except I've
That's
learned, Jason, I don't know who just wrote you that, and they're right, but a long short is
DMS.
hard. A long short is hard to program. So
Oh,
we I think we got turned down by a few festivals because we were a long short. Because usually they
right.
pitch shorts altogether, and if you're
Right.
35 minutes short, they don't know how to.
Oh, yeah. Right. Jennifer George was just asking if down the line it's going to be streaming at any point.
Yes, in the New Yorker.
So just on the New Yorker's website.
Yes.
Oh,
They have a
great. That's
section. They have a section for films. Many
right.
people
Right. I've
might not
seen a
know
couple
that,
of shorts. Yeah. There's
and they've
one by
gotten.
Jennifer's son actually on there, which is really great.
What is it?
About it's Jennifer George, Rube Goldberg's granddaughter. Her
Oh,
son Max is a writer, comedy writer, and filmmaker, and he did a documentary film that's on the New Yorker's video section with the,
oh,
um,
good.
and it was about getting funding for a documentary for a short film. and trying to get it into Tribeca and Sundance and all these sort of things, and
Sure.
trying to convince I think it's their uncle or something, or their dad, to like throw money into this thing. And then he's like, oh, okay, so what's the return on the investment? They're like, well, it's not, it's not really a
Zero.
return, or it's more about getting into the festival. So maybe we get it made into a feature, and it's
Yeah.
so funny because it's exactly. I feel like you would appreciate it. It's like, it's down to
I'm gonna go look for it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
No, uh,
it's really funny.
I did 2 Kickstarters, which everybody was so generous, but I hate doing that. I
Oh, I
hate it.
know. Kickstarter's the worst. But
Just
yeah, we got
asking
to do
for
it. It's one of
money.
those necessary evils.
Right. But people are generous. It's wonderful. It's heartwarming. As much as I hate asking for money, it's lovely. It's like Substack. People are coming out of the woodwork to support us,
Mm.
for no reason except they wanna support us, and that gives
Yeah.
you faith in humanity.
Dude, yeah, you're not kidding. It's at a time like this, it definitely helps. I wanted to about this time every show, I sort of flip the camera and keep doing what you do well, which is talking while drawing.
Oh,
Um, I usually take requests from the chat, but I also just kind of draw what I'm, you know,
okay.
coming up with. I I have tried to steer away in these from. I like the idea that this is escapism from the misery of the news.
Mhm.
So I try to avoid Trump, and I try to avoid horrible stuff. Sometimes it's unavoidable because it just comes up. But
Right.
uh, yeah, so I don't know about you, but I try to think clearer while I'm drawing. I don't know. It's almost like I'm just more
Mhm.
focused, I guess. Um,
Probably.
but
So how do you
yeah,
do it?
but
What device do you have? I've been playing with so many different devices
right,
like, I have
me too.
3 or 4 that kinda work, and it's always
Mhm.
awkward. Maybe that's part of the fun of it, just the
Kind
shaking
of.
camera, turning it around.
Well, so this is what I've got, Liza. The arm that I'm using, it
Uh-huh.
clips the phone into here, right? And so that's the front facing camera. And then this is my drawing board. And what I can do is flip the camera so that it sees, so it's using the back camera.
Wow.
And then it sort of, you can move this arm around almost like, like a lamp, like a drawing lamp, and
So,
sort of just have it over the top of the
I
drawer. I
like
can send
that.
you a link if you like.
Yeah,
And you sort of
I need that. I need that thing.
clamps onto your drawing board like that. Yeah. And so I've only just been using it recently, and I find it very. It's called Canvas, by the way. I don't, not sponsored by them or anything. I just um
Mhm.
I found I've tried every. I'm sure you have too. I've tried every other version of
Yep.
this, and it's so hard to find something that just sticks or just works. Um.
So, mine is
So
on a weird stand, and I'm just gonna
I can
turn
change my drawing board angle a little bit here too, just to
so
make it flat. Um. I think
ah,
today, just
you're
because
breaking up.
you often use ink, pen and ink, and I like that you,
Uh,
as I was saying earlier, you use traditional tools. I love that. Um, I'm going to have pencil. I'm going to use these Blackwing pencils. And
mhm.
is that a mechanical pencil that you got there?
It is. I love this thing. It's very thick. This,
It's like
international
a,
cartoonist told me about it. It's like
ah,
it's
nice.
yeah. I just liked holding it. But maybe I'll use some pen and ink.
I should find what's the brand on that one. I haven't seen much of
I
that.
don't remember. I'll let you know. I don't remember. It doesn't say on there, strangely.
But
Um,
like you, I like these dip pens, the Crockwell.
mhm.
This I think it's a 102, and then the Hunt 101 Imperial, which is a bit chaotic at times. Richard Thompson used to use it, and I remember just hearing him talk
Mhm.
about how crazy it was and ceding so much to chaos when you use it. But I just like
Yeah,
the variation of line you can get. That sort of,
me
you
too.
know,
Um,
and I wrap my
I
mechanical pencil up to stop my hands from seizing up from long drawing sessions.
either what? What?
The I wrap
So I
these in like I want to say it's like athletic tape,
Uh-huh.
kind of stop my hand from like getting RSI. So I've got something more to
Slipping.
grip onto. That's why I like that thick one you've got there is probably
Yeah.
better because it's
This is a Hunt 107, and I also
when it's
use
7. Okay.
and I also sometimes use, let's see, one of these, I don't know what it is. That looks like the nib is broken.
Right. We just got
Uh,
a request in the chat for a drawing. Again, it's a suggestion. A three-eyed alien asking a pig for the time. Boy, that's as apolitical as
okay.
it gets. That is.
Really? Or is it really? Is it apolitical? I don't know.
Three-eyed alien asking a pig for the time. Um, I when you started working at the New Yorker, I'm curious about this. It was still the sort of showing roughs, and then if the rough gets approved, you go to finish. Was that always the process?
Yep. Uh,
And you would do pencils, like rough pencils,
I think my roughs when I first started, they were, pen
right? Okay.
because I was trying to show, let's see, show them what my style was. Can everybody see my paper? Okay. Um,
Yes.
it's a 3-eye, um,
Yes.
and you'd submit my alien goes back to, my memories of childhood of, Outer Limits
Oh
aliens.
yeah. Oh.
Uh,
It is interesting that
asking
everyone's visual vocabulary is different for
mhm,
references. Yeah. So you were submitting pen roughs, or I guess ink roughs,
yes,
to sort of
and
show Lee your style.
yep,
Lee
yep,
was your first editor, first
that's
cartoon
right.
editor.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a
Asking,
great
what
cartoonist.
was the alien asking?
He was asking a pig for the time.
A pig. I like drawing pigs.
There's something about they just comically they just look so silly.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, we would go, back in the day, we would, I was living in New York. I had a job at the Natural History Museum, which was a
oh
great
well,
place to start, and, drop our stuff off on Wednesdays, and then, let's see.
I was Wednesdays back then, of
It
course.
was well, there were 2 days back then. There was Tuesday for the, seasoned cartoonists and who the older people,
Right,
and
right.
then, 2 Wednesdays was for the young upstarts like me and Roz and Jack Siegler and Mick Stevens and, Bob Mankoff, and, uh, um, Sam Gross. We would go out to lunch afterwards on
Hmm.
Wednesdays. It was fun. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Where was it still? Where were you doing the lunch? Was it still Pergola?
No, no, I don't know if Pergola existed. Probably
No,
did, but
right.
no, we went to a couple different places. The place called The Quiet Man, an Irish bar, and a place
Oh,
called The Century, which it was more modern. We would try to mix it up, go different places. Sometimes
right.
we went to a Mets game once or twice.
That's pretty cool.
Went on the Circle Line one, and then at once, and then after lunch, we would sometimes go down to Tin Pan Alley and shoot pool. Bill Woodman was another person that was, a regular. Bill Woodman, wonderful artist. Um, yeah, so
Wow.
and then, I forgot to mention also we would before we went to lunch, we would go to the other magazines, take your little envelopes of your rejects from the New Yorker, and you'd go to other places like,
Where else did you submit back then?
National Lampoon. That's where actually National Lampoon was where I sold my first cartoon,
Oh, really?
before the New
That's cool.
Yorker. Yeah,
Huh.
and,
Do you remember what cartoon it was?
yes.
Everyone remembers
Eh
that first.
of course. I don't you find it odd that people say, "Do you remember the first cartoon you sold to the New Yorker?" Well,
Yes, that's why I
hello.
asked it. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't remember there were places like Good Housekeeping, Audubon, um, Cosmopolitan,
Right.
which I sold to a fair amount. And there were places you could sell your cartoons, and, they paid pretty well.
Huh.
Oh,
And I
didn't
guess now it's pretty much a one shop deal. I mean,
That's
it's pretty
correct.
much pretty much the New Yorker now.
What do you
The
Oh, there's your pig and your alien.
yeah. I actually went to when I was in San Diego for Comic Con, I think it was. I noticed that the Lampoon Marty Dundix, who runs the Weekly Humorist, he has opened a series of comedy clubs, stand-up comedy clubs called
Mhm.
the Lampoon Yellow
Oh,
Door, so National Lampoon Comedy Clubs, and he is gonna. I think he's opening one in LA and one in New York
oh,
as well. So that's the new brand for them is stand up
stand up.
comedy. Yeah. I just realized the pig could be very political. Could be an Orwellian pig. You're right. That's and this could be a
Everything can
animal
be
farm.
political. Everything can be political if you think about it.
Are you finding that? And hasten to add that I try not to go into politics, but you have a very unique perspective on this. I think in that you have used Substack, I think in particular, really well to galvanize a lot of people and sort of be able to distill some pretty complex ideas, some pretty strong feelings and ideas into
Mhm.
cartoons and make them more palatable or at least more shareable.
Yeah, I think
It's difficult.
it is difficult, and I don't always. I'm glad I don't have a. I always admired the political cartoonists who had a regular gig at a
Yeah.
newspaper because they'd have to come up with something every 5 days a week, and
Right.
that's got to be tough. So I'm heavily influenced by international cartoonists because
Mm,
I've been involved with with that world for since 2005, cartooning for peace, and
yeah.
so I love that kind of cartoon, which is often wordless and visual.
Mm,
So I often shoot for that and try for that. And then also I love the way the New Yorker cartoons, our style, that format, I should say that not
yeah.
style, that format is good for political ideas too, because they can be indirect, not um, not hitting you over the head with a political concept or an opinion. They're just like musing about what's going on in our world and how it affects people. Um,
Right.
mhm.
Well, I think I always loved Sampé and a lot of these
Oh, yeah.
artists who were able to do these captionless images that were just so powerful. And
Yes.
it feels like that is so good because it's the reason I love people like Sergio Aragonés and these other
Mm.
cartoonists who can do stuff that translate. Well, you don't need to read. You don't need to be literate. You don't need to
Right.
even understand English to understand the cartoons. And cartooning for
Mhm.
peace, there's a lot of cartoonists who have that skill set.
Yeah.
And did you do? I feel like I saw you on the event I did in France, Redep. Did you do that? Um,
Yes, I did. Oh, you did
you
that
did. What
recently?
year were you there?
Oh god, I don't remember.
Was it a long?
2012 or 13 or something like that? 14?
Right, right. I think I did it in 12. I don't know
Oh,
if it was
really?
11 or 12. 11 or 12, I
Okay.
did it. And the cartoonists, I don't know if you have this same feeling, but the cartoonists I was there with, we're all political cartoonists. They get one cartoonist from, not every country, but a lot of different countries. And there were cartoonists there from, like Nadia Chiari was there from Tunisia.
Oh, yeah.
They had like moved from China. They had cartoonists who had been like exiled from the Sudan to like Qatar. And
Mhm.
when you're exiled to Qatar, you're in trouble. Um, and I kept thinking, I was talking to the American and British cartoonist. Nicola Jennings was the British cartoonist. She works for The Guardian.
Mm.
And I was saying, I feel like we're so lucky. We're court jesters, it feels like, whereas these people feel like freedom fighters. Um, it's not to say that it's not changing now, but it felt like, wow, we're so lucky that we get to do these cartoons with relative impunity
I
without having to
know.
worry about having to go into hiding or be exiled.
I know. Yeah, we are lucky.
We are
Uh,
very
uh,
lucky.
uh, um, let's hope that continues.
Yeah,
Although
I mean,
yeah.
it does feel like there is a chilling effect. um, your uh, Substack, like
Mhm,
just getting back to what we were speaking about
mhm,
earlier.
mhm,
The reason I am even all in on Substack, and I know you are too, is that I think it was one afternoon in 2022, maybe 23, 22. We were at a book club bar in the Lower East Side, well, East Village, where I used to live.
mhm,
And on, I think it was like Third and C. And it was a Substack event. And I think I don't know if you were hosting it or you were featured there or something
mhm,
like that. You and N Cadet and some other cartoonists and writers and journalists. And I was so sheepish about just getting to what you were talking about before, sheepish about turning on the paid thing and asking people for money. I always had such a big hang up about it.
mhm,
And it was you and Anne and several other cartoonists who were there. So I should say Substackers. Different people are doing different kinds of things. Um, comics and illustration and writing and video
mhm,
and audio that convinced me to really take it seriously. And I turned on paid then and there while I was
mhm.
listening to you guys talk. And someone there was my first paid subscriber. And I felt immediately the guilt kick in as, oh, wow, people are paying now. I have to really take this seriously. I have to deliver something now. But that was a big turning point for me because I guess I didn't quite know what I was doing and I was afraid to figure it out as I went. I wanted to
Uh-huh.
feel like I knew what I was doing, but of course we never really know.
No,
We
we
just
don't.
do it and hope for the best, right?
I yeah. I think I've learned over the years writing on the internet, to experiment and
Mm.
I the first time I started writing on the internet was for Forbes Women. They said
Mm.
they saw my TED Talk and they said they invited me to be a writer for them,
Mm.
and they said, "Do whatever you want." I was like, "Really?"
Wow.
So I did a lot of, at the time, it was probably 2007 or so, a lot of
Right.
no, was it later than that? A little bit later than that. Feminist cartoons, and then I started and writing too, so I learned that was where I began doing the drawing and the writing together, which is what I do on Substack. I do a lot of writing as well as,
Mm.
not only New Yorker cartoons, but political cartoons or anyway, and then Matt Bors had this thing called the Nib, which was
Yep.
wonderful, and
Yeah, it was great.
he invited me to contribute there, which I did for a number of years, and he was a great editor, and
Mm.
he pushed me to be more opinionated in my work, which I was. I
Mm.
always give him some credit for, doing you know, urging me to speak my mind more, in terms of women's rights. And
Yeah.
which I was already doing, but I was afraid to I did cartoons about rape and assault,
Right.
um, that was interesting, and they folded. But I also started doing writing and drawing for Medium, which is another
Yes, I remember that.
nice platform. I'm still there. But then when Substack came on, I it has a more informal feel for me than Medium,
Right.
but I don't know, it's just people are pretty forgiving, I think. They just wanna and I'm still appalled at how people wanna hear what I have to say. Um
Old.
Me? Well, I grew up a little shy young woman
Sure.
in a time when there were not many women op-ed writers, let alone
Yeah.
cartoonists, so it's like,
Right.
"Oh, we're not supposed to share our opinion about anything." That was a long time ago. Um,
Right. Right. Yeah, it does feel yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I always have this imposter syndrome about writing on Substack because I feel like it's for writers and I don't consider myself a writer, but
well, you
it's
are,
something
so
the more
get
I do
over
it, the more yeah, well, this is what people keep telling me is to get over it.
it.
Because I like it's not that I don't like doing it. I love writing. I just don't think I'm that good at it. Which is why I do it is to try and get better at it,
Right.
it's
That's the only
it's
way
by
you're gonna get
doing.
better.
Right, right.
That's
And
what people sorry.
sorry, go on.
People ask me about the New Yorker and the rejection rate, it is horrible that we get rejected so much. We draw, 8 or 10 ideas a week, and maybe they'll buy one, maybe. It's
Maybe, right.
but the thing is, the more you draw, the better you get, supposedly or hopefully. Um, and you learn how to find your style, you learn how to find your voice the more you draw and write and, create, so
Yeah. I
is it
think it
y
learning by doing.
Hmm?
It's learning by doing.
Exactly. Mhm.
The rejection rate is something so many people ask me about it because it's I think a lot of people are surprised that it's sort of spec work. It's kind of, you pitch and pitch and
Right,
pitch and then hope to sell. And there's a lot of cartoonists submitting, but I feel like that's without that rejection, the ability to tolerate rejection, you're not going to really last long in cartooning because most of cartooning, especially when you're starting out, is rejection. It's a lot of rejection.
right.
And
Yep.
I don't know, people seem fascinated by the almost masochistic level of
Well,
consistent,
there is a level of that, yeah. But I think you and I we have to really start reinventing ourselves because
true.
of,
Yes.
there's no magazines are dying, or
Mm,
almost dead, and there's no, outlets for what we do, really, much.
yeah.
So that's why we do the live drawing, that's why we do Substack,
Yeah.
just with our audience and people
Yeah.
and, communicate with other people. Mhm. Nice
Right.
alien, very friendly. Is he friendly? I can't tell.
I know he's like he looks friendly, but I feel like he's got opinions about things. He's
Yeah.
got that odd look about him. Um, uh, the I actually noticed Kev Callagher he's joined us. He's in the chat.
Hi,
Hi,
Cal.
Cal. He's actually going to be on next Thursday, everybody. Next Thursday at
Okay.
12 p.m. He's going to be right here on Draw Me Anything. We'll be drawing together. I remember watching Cal when he left, when he recently jumped over to Substack.
Uh-huh.
It's so nice watching. He's got such a beautiful style, but also
Yes.
his ideas, his composition, his draftsmanship. He has this ability to again distill things even without captions, just sort of distill these ideas in these really
Mhm.
powerful images. And I remember watching him at that AAEC event we were both at in Columbus, in Ohio. I
Yeah.
want to say it was like 7 years ago now, 6 7 years
Mm.
ago. Um, and we were all talking. It was really interesting. Something really struck me when I was watching him. He had a drawing board out, and he was drawing his cartoon for the day with a dip pen and ink on a big wooden drafting board and it was during the AGM, the business meeting. Um, and I remember we were talking about the future of editorial cartooning and about the new generation coming up doing editorial illustration and sort of sequential stuff, like in the Pulitzers now. Um, and I remember thinking, because Matt Bors was there that weekend doing a presentation with Ileri and who else was there? There were some other people there from the Nib,
Mhm.
Maddie Lubchansky, and
Mhm.
talking about the fact that it's not the art itself that is kind of going away. It's not the craft of editorial cartooning or it's just the format, the medium that
Mm.
is, the newspapers and magazines and things like that. And that there's still an appetite for it. It's just that, it's not this sort of monoculture, ubiquitous, everyone's reading the same newspapers or getting
Yeah,
the
that's
same
right.
information.
But I also wonder, I have a theory that, I mean, people there is an appetite for it, but there's so much competition now for what we do, and not in just drawing, but all the late night shows, talk shows, which are dying too, but they used to, the Daily Show was the first time I noticed this, that they would take clips from the show the night before and put them on the internet, and it was like a short little opinionated humorous piece, and I thought, "Well, that's like they're taking our job," but with video. So I
Yeah.
feel like, those we've been in competition with, um, memes, also memes and, clips of comedians
Hmm.
doing what we do,
Right.
so
Well, I mean that's sort of the Jon Stewart era of the Daily Show when they first started doing
yes.
that.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
what I
I
noticed too. Mhm.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, that was kind of our bread and butter is just like pulling out a story of the day or the big story and doing,
Mhm.
making a comedic take on it.
Mhm. Mhm.
I have some friends who work on the Daily Show. I have a friend who's a correspondent and host on the Daily Show, Ronnie Chen, and he, unsurprisingly, they love editorial cartoons. They love political cartoons and cartoons of all kinds. And
Mhm.
they do read them. They do appreciate them. They have sort of a real admiration for them. I know so does John. And it's one of those things where all they have is, because they can't draw, their medium is comedy, is
Right.
sketch and
Right.
stand up and monologue. And they are doing the same thing as us. But the difficulty they have is that they don't have that ability to distill it in as few
Mm.
digestible or translatable lines. I mean, they still have to
Mhm.
speak English. They still have to make
Mm.
references
Mhm.
to set up the gags, and the references have to be understood, comprehended. And they find it, it's not an easy job.
Yeah.
Not that cartooning is. I'm just saying it is a very difficult thing to be able to do those recaps and still have them resonate, even with the news cycles being as short as they are now.
Mhm.
But they all have cartoons stuck up on uh, their cubicles, New Yorker cartoons and comics, and Gary Larson cartoons and things like that. They're
Yeah.
big cartoon fans, unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
So I'm just, I don't know who this guy is. I've been drawing three-eyed aliens nonstop. I can't stop drawing
I've
them.
moved on to just people, so.
Yeah. I mean, I'm slowly evolving these aliens into people, but I don't know.
Who was your early influence when you were I assume you were drawing when you were a kid, right?
Yeah, I mean, I loved political cartoonists. That's what I wanted to do, and that's what I did for a long time. I
Mhm.
loved Pat Oliphant. I loved
Mm.
the Jeff McNelly sort of school of
Yeah.
editorial cartoonists. I loved obviously Herb Block and I liked the editorial cartoonists who were they had a different style. I loved Anne's work, Anne Telnay's. I loved the cartoonists who had a really unique voice.
Mhm.
Um, there's some international cartoonists that I really enjoyed in the UK. Obviously Searle was a really big influence,
Yeah.
and Stedman to a
Right.
degree. And yeah, Nicola Jennings to a large degree as well. She's a fantastic artist, illustrator, editorial illustrator. Sampé, of course, and then some of the Belgian and French cartoonists that I would see, and like I'd read Spirou. I didn't speak French, but I loved the art.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, the New Yorker and Mad magazine. Mad was a huge influence on me.
Yeah, me
So
too.
Sergio and Mort Drucker
Mhm.
and Jack Davis. Um,
Mad was
yeah,
for us, even though I don't think I drew like anybody in there, but, it gave us I'm older than you are, obviously. It gave us permission to be irreverent in a way that
yeah,
nothing had done before, you know? It's like
right.
this, making fun of the status quo in a really obvious and
Silly.
hilarious way. Um,
Yeah, yeah. The ability for
uh
adults to be super silly and
Yeah, right, exactly.
sarcastic and
I wanted to tell you my story about her block. So, back
yeah,
in the
sure.
'80s, early '80s, Roxy Monroe, who was a cover artist and a friend of mine, she now does children's books, but she, wanted to do a show of New Yorker cartoons because she was a
Mhm.
buddy with a lot of us. Um, and so she curated this show of cartoons, New Yorker cartoons, and she's from Washington also. So the show started in Washington at a gallery downtown Washington. And we're just there at the opening. A bunch of us went down for it. And lo and behold, her block comes in.
Wow.
He came to see our cartoons. And
Hmm.
what a nice man. You know, he came to support us and I loved it. So I got to meet him.
Wow. What did he say?
I don't remember. I was
It's one
so
of those.
scared.
Yeah, yeah.
He pointed to my cartoon in the show was my first one published, was a sequential dog, man petting dog cartoon, and he just
Nice.
pointed out and said he really liked the
That's great.
simplicity. Mhm.
Yeah, I do like. I mean, the anything with a dog in it. I'm biased. I just love dogs. But like
Yeah.
the George Michael posted a George Booth cartoon this morning, and anyone
Mhm.
who's not subscribed to Michael's Substack to Inkspill, you have to. If you love cartoons, you've got to subscribe.
Michael Maslin, Inkspill, yeah.
Yes, Inkspill. And it was this great cartoon, and it had one of the typical George Booth dogs in the cartoon from behind, and he just conveys so much in just the posture of the dog and the energy of the dog, and and I just remember I always looked at George's stuff, and I looked at Peter Arno and all that sort of stuff, and those cartoonists who were able to distill in just like one swoopy line or even a wriggly, wobbly line
Mhm.
so much energy, and
Mhm.
line economy is such an important thing when cartoons are going to be reduced down in size. You seem to have this great line economy, sort of, and you only use a few lines to get an expression. It's much, much harder to do with fewer lines than more lines. But I always enjoyed those cartoons that have they say a lot with very few lines. And I want to say that the two things that I think I always jumped out at me about your work is you do great sandbox cartoons, kids in sandbox,
Thank you.
fantastic,
No Charles
and
Schultz influence there.
yes, I can tell. And the kids in the bedroom, playing with dolls, playing with toys, talking about what they want to be when they grow up, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Those kinds of cartoons, things from the mouths of kids is um it's such a powerful way to convey big ideas with the
It
innocence of
is.
sort of childlike innocence. You do
Right.
that very well.
Thank you. I also used same concept. I think I've sold a lot of cave person drawings. It's the same
Mm,
concept. It's like, people talking about something that we take for granted now, but
mm.
if you look at it through the eyes of a child or you look at it through the eyes of a cave person, it's like it's very strange behavior or a thing.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
way of looking at the
A
world.
way of,
Mm.
dare I say, seeing things. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, to that
But,
to that end, we're at the 1 hour mark. So I am very, very grateful to you for. I know you're insanely busy, so I'm grateful to
oh,
you for
thank
coming
you.
on
Thank
today.
you.
And if anyone, I assume everyone is, but if anyone hasn't yet, please subscribe to Seeing
Thank
Things, which is
you.
Liza's Substack. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
And of course, the documentary, which comes out in the fall
Right.
of this year. What
Uh-huh.
what can people do to, apart from your Substack, where can they find more information about that? What's the
Hold
best
on.
place to find it?
I'll come around and say hello. Um, sorry, my, device is not as smooth as yours.
I,
I got
I'm
that
gonna
sounded
get you
really
one of
horrible.
these.
Sorry. Was not a crude joke. I did not mean that. Um, well, we have a website and sorry.
For the documentary.
Yes, womenlaughingfilm.com.
Great.
We
Womenlaughingfilm.com.
have an
Okay.
Instagram, Women Laughing Film. Uh, okay, I'll have to hold it because it's not gonna cooperate. Um,
Okay.
and, what else? That's probably about it. We did a Kickstarter, that's over, I don't
The
think you can
Kickstarter's
donate
done.
any more than that. You might be able to. There's a way to donate to we still need money for publicity if anybody wants
Okay.
to help us out with that. Um, publicity for getting the word out and doing a poster. We're gonna do a poster. So that you can go to womenlaughingfilm.com and there'll be a place to donate for that. Um,
Fantastic. All right. Everybody go to it's womenlaughingfilm.com and also on Instagram, Women Laughing Film.
yes.
Perfect. All right. And I'll put those links. I'll put a recap to this in tomorrow's post with a full recap replay for everybody. Liza, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congrats on the film. Congratulations. I know it was
Thank
many years in the making. So congrats on
yeah,
finishing it. I know
it was
I'm excited to
really,
see it.
mind-blowing to do and stretched my brain a lot, so thank you. Great people. And I love telling these women's stories too. They were so generous, the women that we interviewed. Oh.
Right. Yeah.
Alright, well,
Well, I
thank you. Yeah,
can't wait to see
almost
them.
500. Thank you. Almost 500 people, Jason. This is
Yeah,
good.
this is great.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you for being here,
And
everybody.
thank you. All right. Well,
Thank you,
have a great day,
Jason.
Liza. See
You
you
too.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.